Thank you for coming tonight to Alpha Tactical. My name is Nick Gan. So I've been involved in IPSC for quite a few years. I got my black badge, which is sort of the qualifications to shoot IPSC in 2002. So I'm a pretty old guy. And yeah, so I've been in the sports like 24 years. I'm also a range officer in NROI, which is the National Range Officer Institute. My rank is I'm a Range Master. There's about half a dozen of us in Ontario. And basically what that means is that we're in charge of the biggest matches that I held. So they're the level 3 matches. So as Range Master, my duty basically starts after the organizer have built all the stages. So my first job is I go there, I debug all the stages to make sure that they're safe. And then once the competition starts, basically I oversee all the officials that are working at the competitions, and I make all the final rulings. Basically, essentially for the whole week or for 5 or 6 days, I'm the guy. I usually work with a partner. I would have a deputy range master with me, and we would have the final say on everything that happens in the match. So the other job that I just received that will be official as of June 1st is that I'll be the head of Ontario's NROI. So we have 3,000 shooters, handgun shooters in Ontario, and we have 400 officials. So I'll be the guy that basically everyone complains to, essentially is what it is. If you have a question about rulings, you have a question about rules, you have a question about any stages, any stage, any setup, I'm the one that you would go to. So like I said, I started shooting in 2002. IPSC was quite different back then. When I started, I was shooting a 1911, so a single stack, Colt 45 that I custom in 45 ACP. And after that, I moved to a SBI standard gun for a few years, and then toy around with the Glock for a bit, and then the last little bit I've been shooting what we call classic, which is again 1911 in 9mm. So tonight I'm just going to give you a sort of quick intro on IPSC and the bit about the history of it and sort of what we do in the competition. So IPSC started in 1976. So this year is actually our 50th anniversary. So IPSC was started in the States by a guy named Jeff Cooper. Jeff Cooper used to run Gunsight, so he was an old World War II vet that they were doing a lot of quote-unquote combat shooting in California and Arizona. And from that, it became IPSC, and now IPSC is literally shot all over the world. There are over 200,000 shooters all around the world, and the great thing with IPSC is that sort of once you get into it, if you want to travel and shoot at the same time, that's what you could do. We were just at a match up in Barrie today, and one of the guys that was there, he's leaving next week for Hungary, so he and his dad are going to go shoot the European Open. So that's something that you could do. It's a lot of fun. I've shot matches in Malaysia. I've hung out with the shooters in Singapore, literally any place that you want to go. There's often IPSC matches. Some of the hotbeds for IPSC is Thailand, the Philippines, lots of shooters there. As far as Europe, Czech Republic has always had a really big contingency. Russia, As a matter of fact, the head of IPSC right now, the war body, is Russian. And interestingly enough, one of the best IPSC shooter in the world for the last, I don't know, 30 years. It's a French guy, right? You won't think of France as having really good shooter, but Eric Graffel's been world champ since I started shooting, and he's only in his 40s, so he's never lost a war shoot. So when Jeff Cooper started IPSC, basically what he had in mind was practical shooting. So a lot of it with the stages that we shot were more like scenarios like type of stages, more like what you would see in sort of, IDPA these days, like you'll be sitting in a restaurant and, that kind of scenario. But of course, as time passes and we all have to be more politically correct, we've taken away a lot of that element of it. So, even the targets that we use nowadays, we used to have one where it's a rectangular body with a little head, and we stopped shooting that anymore. Like, the only people that are still shooting those are the Americans, because the Americans, even though they're part of IPSC these days, they're part of what's called USPSA. They sort of make their own rules. So for IPSC, the motto for IPSC is DVC, and basically that's Latin for Diligentia v Celertus. So it means accuracy, power, and speed. That's what we try to do in IPSC. In everything that we do, those are the three elements. In every stage design, we try to incorporate at least one of those three elements, right? So accuracy, power, and speed. And what you're going to find, even as you do Action Air, is that accuracy and speed are often inverse to each other. So you could go really quick, but you're going to give up some accuracy. And everyone gives up accuracy, even the top shooters in the world. The thing is, as you get really good at it, you know what you could give up and still get the hit, right? So we're not shooting bullseye. I don't need two hits to be together at that size. This is the A zone. Anywhere around here scores the same. So again, accuracy, you want to be able to hit this A zone. Speed is you could go as fast as you can and still be hitting this A zone, right? So accuracy, speed, and power. Power stuff doesn't come into play as much when you do Action Air, but it certainly comes into play when you shoot handguns, because there's major power factors and minor power factors. And minor power factors essentially is, anything that shoots a 9 mm. Major would be people shooting standard in 40, 45 once in a while. And then if you shoot open, you'd be shooting 9mm major, which is a hand-loaded round, or something, in 38 Super or 38 Super Comp. Now, the sport is basically designed to be a dynamic sport and challenging at the same time. So, when you have shot a good stage, when there's some kind of problem solving involved. Again, we just shot a really good match where the guy designed a stage, a couple of stages where there's probably about 6 to 10 different ways of shooting it. That's the best stage, because everyone who goes up will look at it and they'll do it a bit differently. There's one stage that I remember, like one of our last stages, Sylvia started shooting. She came up with a plan, and I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good plan. That's good. And then, our buddy Ethan started shooting it, and I'm like, oh, wait, Ethan's plan's way better than Sylvia's because of what the targets are. So it gives you a lot of options. You're still looking at the same targets, but there's a lot of options in it. So that is a big part of what makes the sport really attractive to people. Like, you know, you're never shooting the same thing twice, and every time you could do it slightly differently, and that gives you a completely different results. And the other great thing about IPSC is that it's, you know, it's available to everyone, right? Like, you know, you don't have to be, you know, young and athletic. You know, there are some guys that are, you know, really fast, really young, and they're obviously going to be able to do stuff that, you know, I can't do, right? Like, I'll shoot with guys like 35 years younger than me, but we can still have fun at the range together. We all look at the competition, you know, with different expectation, according to our own limitation, but all of us could have fun. So it's, you know, anyone could do it, just like any other sports out there. And the other thing with IPSC is that it's incredibly safe. So I did some calculations. In the last 3 years of all the major matches that, you know, I've been involved in, there'll be maybe 13 level 3 matches that I've been involved in. Not counting the sort of weekend matches that I do. So of this 13 matches that I shot, there would have been easily over 1 million rounds shot at the range. Like 1 million rounds. And guess how many accidents there were? Like 0, right? 0. I mean, and that's just, you know, me, like the last 3 years, right? 1 million rounds, 0 accidents. Literally in 24 years, I've seen one case of an accident, and that's the person's own fault, right? So it's an extremely safe sport. So as far as the organization is concerned, basically what IPSC World does is it regulates the competitors, it approves the firearms that you would use, and it's, you know, everywhere from, like, you know, the specific type, if you shoot like production division, or a general type of firearm that you use. So I shoot classic, which is, again, the sort of quote 45 1911 that you know of. That, you know, so every competitor in my division needs to shoot a gun that sort of looks the same. Be some cosmetic differences, but they're basically the same. And then to ensure, you know, everyone's safety, this includes the competitors, spectators, range officers. We have range officers that essentially accompany the shooters when they're shooting, right? So that's one of the reasons why our sport is so safe. It's because over the years we've come up with rules that are designed to make the stage design safe, so that it's not something that, you know, for example, where, you know, as the range master, I'm really mindful of the surface that the shooters are going to be running on, right? Are they going to trip on stuff? Is it going to be too slippery for them? Is it going to be something that would cause them to trip? Because when you trip, your body's out of control and you never know where your gun might be pointing. So in Ontario, like I said, we have 400 officials, and because we have so many matches, we have about 200 matches a year. And so if you compare us to like some of the places in the States, like we have way more matches to shoot. I shoot down the States quite a bit. I usually shoot the biggest matches. You know, you might have, you know, one match per weekend. Like every weekend there'll be a match. In Toronto, like if you're willing to travel a couple of hours, you can easily shoot 2 matches a week, if not more. You know, we're shooting 2. Like I just shot one today, and we're going to shoot another one on Saturday. And literally, if you want, you could shoot probably 3-4 matches if you're willing to do the traveling. So because of that, we have really good competitors, like really good shooters in Ontario, and also we have really good range officers, which makes the sports that much safer. So as far as matches, there are 5 levels of matches in IPSC. It starts with a club level 1, which is anything sort of 4 or 5 stages that you would shoot, like something like here, just on one bay. 4 stages is level 1. We get that a lot through the winter months. A lot of the indoor ranges are able to host level 1 matches. Level 2 matches are technically 5 and above, but in Ontario you usually see 6 stages and up. So it could be 6 to 11 stages, but 6 is a pretty standard setup. Level 3s, we do shoot level 3s, so those will be our major matches, and our provincial match, our national match, and they're usually about 12 to 15 stages. And then level 4s are sort of big area matches. We don't see so much of it here. You see sometimes down in the States. The closest level 4 match this year to Toronto, it's a level 4 match in Aruba, in like at the end of August. So I know some guys who are going down to shoot that. Level 5s are the war shoot, and these happen every 4 years. And the last war shoot was in South Africa. And then the next one is maybe, in Italy. So yeah, so those are like major matches. In Ontario, most of the match you would shoot in a half-day format for level 1 and 2s. Level 3s would be a full-day format usually. So that means that you'd be at the range 8 o'clock in the morning, shoot till like 5, 6 o'clock. Makes for a long day. The format sometimes changes depending on the setup. You might shoot like 2 half days, but essentially it's like 6 to 8 stages a day if you do split it up to 2 half days. So this year in Ontario, we're lucky in that we have 4 level 3 matches. We have one that's going to be out in London, in East Elgin in June. We have 2 up in Newmarket in Sharon Range, one in July and one in September. And we have one, if you like to drive, all the way up in Sudbury in August. And I'm actually the Range Master. Those are actually really fun matches to shoot.